my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Andy, sometimes Mouse, and I talk about books and book-related things. And today I'm giving you my Clear Your Shit TBR. Now, if you are new here, there are many an announcement video, a plot recap video, a website, many resources that you can find to see what the fuck I'm talking about when I say cuss. I'm talking about Clear Your Shit mini. This is 3.5. The fact that we're going into Clear Your Shit Year 4 is terrifying to me. But anyway, this is going to be my TBR for that. Now, there is one surprise prompt this year in the mini. Usually we do a free space, which this can still serve as a free space if it so pleases you. I will not be telling you what the prompt is, but I will tell you that I'm picking the Magician is the card that I will be picking for that surprise prompt. Am I telling you what that means? No, I am not. No, I am not. Anyway, let's get in on this. Let's go ahead and start talking about my TBR for June for the Clear Your Shit Readathon. First up, for card number 1, we have The Fool. Read the most recent book you added to your TBR, which would be Where Echoes Die by Courtney Gold. Now, if you watched my horror releases that I'm excited for, this was on that list. I have read, I think, every book that Courtney Gold has come out with, and I have enjoyed them. Courtney Gold does a really good job of kind of thriller horror aspects. Beck Bershing has been adrift since the death of her mother, a brilliant but troubled investigative reporter. So when a mysterious letter in her mother's handwriting arrives in the mail with the words "Come and find me," pointing to a town called Back Rabble, Beck hopes that it may hold the answers. But when Beck and her sister Riley arrive in Back Rabble, Arizona, it's clear that there's something off about the town. There are no cars, no cemeteries, no churches, and the town is a mix of dilapidated military structures and new shiny buildings, all overseen by the town's gleaming treatment center high on a plateau. No one seems to remember when they got there, and the only people who seem to know more than they're letting on is the town's enigmatic leader and his daughter Avery. As the sisters search for answers about their mother, Beck and Avery become more drawn together, and their unexpected connection brings up emotions Beck has buried since her mother's death. Beck is desperate to hold on to the way things used to be, and when she starts losing herself in Back Rabble and its connections to her mother, will there be a way for Beck to pull herself out? We will find out. I also forgot to mention, for me, for this Clear Your Shit, I am going to be focusing on my advanced reader copies, which means I have the added challenge of I want to write a review, even if it's just the small review, for each book that is an advanced reader copy before I move on to the next book. Will I regret this? Probably. Yeah, I probably will. So for any advanced reader copy, I have to finish the review before I can move on to the next one, and my completionist ass is going to be so frustrated by this rule I have made up for myself. Like, I'm going to be very frustrated by this, but that's for future me, not for right now me. Next up, we have card 2, Empress. Read a book that will make you feel good, and I will be reading the free World Book Day book that Art sent me from which is a little mini story in the Strange Worlds Travel Agency book series. I might read the rest, like reread the Strange Worlds Travel Agency books. It just kind of depends on how planning all of the rest of my reading out goes. You know, we'll see. Flick and Jonathan have traveled to the floating land of Strafadia for a very important day, the Cloud Wish Festival, which only happens once every 100 years. But at the end of the festival, when the Great Cloud Dragon is supposed to appear to grant wishes, nothing happens. Will Flick and Jonathan be able to find the Cloud Dragon and save the festival before it's too late? Here's hoping. Next up, we have the third card, Lovers. Read a book you bought because of a book influencer. Now, I have not purchased this book, but it has been sitting on my TBR for a very long time, and the book influencer that I'm referencing here is Art. Obviously, it's going to be Artemis, my co-conspirator when it comes to all things Clear Your Shit. I felt like that would be probably the best bet, and this is something that really has been on my TBR for a really long time. It's all the way at the bottom of my library TBR, which means that it has been there for a long time. That is going to be The Rune of Kings by Jen Lyon. Now, this is a huge book and a political fantasy, which is not my usual jam, but we are giving those a little bit more of a try this year. I'm going to give them a little bit more of a chance because I have been reading more adult books and am able to consume a little bit more of a higher level of reading than I used to be able to, so we will see. Kieran is a bastard orphan who grew up on storybook tales of long-lost princes and grand quests. When he's claimed against his will as the long-lost son of a treasonous prince, Kieran finds that being a long-lost prince isn't what the storybooks promised. Far from living the dream, Kieran finds himself practically a prisoner at the mercy of his new family's power plays and ambitions. He also discovers that the storybooks have lied about a lot of other things too. Dragons, demons, gods, prophecies, true love, and how the hero always wins. Then again, maybe he's not the hero, for Kieran is not destined to save the Empire. He's destined to destroy it. If anything looks different, it's because I got pulled into a meeting in the middle of filming that, and I don't want to film it again. So you're getting my TBR continued. That was 2 hours ago. We're gonna try this again. Next up is Death, Read a Standalone. And I will be reading the advanced reader copy of What the Neighbor Saw by Melissa Adelman. Sometimes the darkest acts occur in the most beautiful houses. This is definitely a domestic thriller, you know. When Alexis and her husband, Sam, buy a neglected Cape Cod house in the exclusive DC suburb, they are ecstatic. Things are looking up for them, and Alexis believes she can finally leave her troubled past behind. But the neighborhood's picture-perfect image is shattered when their neighbor Teddy is found dead on the steep banks of the Potomac River. And if you've watched The Real Housewives of Potomac, then you'd be as invested in this as I am. And the community is shaken, and as the police struggle to identify and apprehend the killer, tension in the neighborhood mounts, and long-buried secrets start to emerge. In the midst of the turmoil, Alexis takes comfort in her budding friendship with Teddy's beautiful and charismatic widow, Blair. But as the women grow closer, the neighborhood only becomes more divided. And when the unthinkable truth behind Teddy's murder is finally uncovered, both Blair and Alexis must re-examine their friendship and decide how far they're willing to go to preserve the lives they've so carefully constructed. Dun, dun, dun. Next up, we have Last to Leave the Room by Caitlin Starling. This is for the surprise card, and I'm not telling you more than that. The city of San Sirocco is sinking. The basement of Dr. Tamsin Rivers, the arrogant, selfish head of the research team assigned to find the source of the subsidence, is sinking faster. As Tamsin grows obsessed with the distorting dimensions of the room at the bottom of the stairs, she finds a door that didn't exist before, and one night it opens to reveal an exact physical copy of her. The doppelganger is sweet and biddable where Tamsin is calculating and cruel. It appears terribly human, passing every test that Tamsin can devise, but the longer the double exists, the more Tamsin begins to forget pieces of her life, to lose tracks of time, to grow terrified of the outside world. As her employer grows increasingly suspicious, Tamsin must try to hold herself together long enough to figure out what her double wants from her and just where the mystery door leads. That's fucking sus. I love Caitlin's writing, and I'm very excited about this. Next up, we have the Tower card. Read a randomly selected book from your TBR. This one I'm just going to read whatever October Day book is next. So I'm currently on book 3 as of filming this. By the time this video goes out, I could be on 4 or 5 or 6. I don't know. And by the time I get to this card, I could be on 8. Who knows? And that's what makes it randomly selected, because I literally won't know which book I'm on. If you don't know about the October Day series by Shauna McGuire and you like dark fae, but in urban modern day, I highly recommend it. After that, we have The Star. Read a book by an author you've read before, and I will be reading Godly Heathens by H.E. Edgman, also an advanced reader copy. Jim Eccles is a non-binary Seminole teen living in the tiny town of Gracie, Georgia. Been to Georgia, not it. Known for being their peers' queer awakening, Jim leans hard on charm to disguise the anxious mess they are beneath. The only person privy to their authentic self is another trans kid, Enzo, who's 1,000 long, painful miles away in Brooklyn. But even Enzo doesn't know about Jem's dreams, haunting visions of magic and violence that have always felt too real. So how the hell does Willa Mae Hardy, the strange new girl in town, acts like she and Jim are old companions and seems to know things about them they've never told anyone else. When Jim is attacked by a stranger claiming to be the goddess of death, Willa Mae saves their life and finally offers some answers. She and Jim are reincarnated gods who've known each other and loved each other across lifetimes. But Jim, or at least who Jem used to be, hasn't always been the most benevolent deity. They've made a lot of enemies in the pantheon, enemies who, like the goddess of death, will keep coming. It's good they've still got Enzo, but as worlds collide and the past catches up with the present, Jim will discover that everyone has something to hide. I'm excited to get my feelings hurt, because I just know that this is gonna hurt my feelings. Next up, we have The Sun, read a book with gold, silver, and or bronze on the cover. I will be rereading and then reading my advanced copy of the sequel, but I've got Little Thieves by, my brain just blanked, by Margaret Owen. This is some special edition, I don't know, but I will be reading this again, and that is to prepare me to read Painted Devils, which is the book that I am reading more specifically for this card. Let's get one thing straight. Vanya Schmidt wasn't trying to start a cult. After taking down a corrupt Margrave, breaking a deadly curse, and finding romance with the vexingly scrupulous junior prefect Emmerich Conrad, Vanya had one great mystery left: her long-lost birth family, and if they would welcome a thief. But in her search for an honest trade, she hit trouble and invented a god, the Scarlet Maiden, to scam her way out. Now that lie is growing out of control, especially when Emmerich arrives to investigate and the Scarlet Maiden manifests to claim him as a virgin sacrifice. For his final test to become a prefect, Emmerich must determine if Vanya is guilty of serious fraud or if the Scarlet Maiden and her claim to him are genuine. Meanwhile, Vanya is chasing an alternative sacrifice that might be their way out. The hunt leads her not only into the layers of monsters and to the paths of gods, but the ties of her past. And with what should be the simplest way to save Emmerich hanging over their heads, he and Vanya must face a more dangerous question. Is there a future for a thief and a prefect, and at what price? And last but not least, we have The Moon, read a book you've been putting off. This one's not an arc, and I may have to change it because I might end up reading it in April, but that would be The Hellbound Heart by Clive Barker. This is what the, what are those movies called with Pinhead in them? This is what it's based off of. In a quiet house on a quiet street, Frank and Julia are having an affair. Not your ordinary affair. For Frank, it began with his insatiable sexual appetite, a mysterious lacquered box, and then an unhinged voyage through another world of imaginable pleasures and unimaginable horror. Now Frank, or what is left of Frank, waits in an empty room. All he wants is to live as he was before. All Julia can do is bring him her unfulfilled passions and a little flesh and blood. I have started reading Clive Barker for the very first time this year, and I am enjoying his writing thus far, so I will be interested to read Hellraiser, I think is what it's called. I could be wrong. Now I'm gonna Google it because it's gonna bother me if I don't know. Correct, it's Hellraiser. So that's that. Anyway, this has been my Clear Your Shit TBR. I am excited about the upcoming year. Every year I feel a little bit more and more together. I think that this past year things did not go really according to plan because of what was going on in my personal life. And then the year before that I got married. So like things get a little chaotic around here. I am hopeful that this year nothing stupid happens during Clear Your Shit. Fingers crossed. I will be on a road trip the very first day of Clear Your Shit, so there's that. But aside from that, I'm just hoping that everything comes out all right, and I have the best of time and that you guys have the best of time and enjoy where this story is taking us. I've kind of introduced some new characters into this year, and I'm really excited about them. I am just slowly making the Clear Your Shit realm larger and larger, and I'm gonna have a hard time keeping up with my own characters at a certain point, you know? But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe and share. If you didn't enjoy this video, let me know in the comments down below how I can make this better for you. And if you have any questions about Clear Your Shit, read the FAQ and then ask them, please, and then reference any of the announcement videos because they might also answer some of those questions. I post videos every Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, so I will see you later on this week. Don't forget to take your meds, drink your water, and do something today to take care of yourselves. Okay, thanks, bye.